to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane, starring Ryan Rash.
Innovation is what distinguishes a leader from a follower.
And Dale Hummel.
You are the CEO of your life. Hire, fire, and promote accordingly.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Nobody gets hello this week. I'm angry.
Angry. Well, I'm angry as well. This is going to be a great episode.
Oh,
Would you like to start with your angers, or would you like me to?
I want to know why the voting public makes the decisions they do.
And we've gone over this many times, and you know the answer.
I expect you to explain it to me in depth. I need to know, because this is terrible. Terrible. We are, a month after Election Day. We still don't know who is in lead of the House. Republicans are at 217. They need 218. And they're confident they're going to get it, but they've been confident they were going to get it for the entire month that we've been waiting after the election. It's really just a week, but still it feels like a month to me.
I agree completely. And going back to how this happens, not obviously the situations on counting votes needs to be changed in a couple states, or upgraded or fixed, or whatever it is. But you know the answer about the voting public, and I've already gone over it. I'm going to leave it alone, but it's simply ignorance.
And you're talking about the vote counting? Okay.
The vote counting is way too slow. The voting public is, I'm going to leave it alone. You go ahead.
A lot of people won't remember. I mean, some people remember this, whatever, but the Bush election for president and the hanging chads in Florida, it was literally the biggest shit show in the history of all Democratic elections. But Florida had 7.5 million people vote on election day, and they knew the status of all their elections within hours of the polls closing. Now, maybe they don't have as many people cast votes as California or maybe New York, but I would say the rest of them pretty much one of the biggest states in the top 5. Would you go with that, Dale?
I'll go with that easy. And I was extremely impressed with their efficiency in getting those votes counted. And I didn't hear anybody complaining about voting issues.
There was no voter suppression. There was no, we think this is rigged, nothing like that. It was all just black and white. We counted the votes. This is what happened. Hours after the polls closed, here's it. So if Florida, who is in one of the top 5 biggest states on vote count, they can do this, why can't the rest of them?
I don't know. And I think when we draw things out like the other states are, that draws more question to the political influences that may be in play, or the corruption, that something's going on when it takes this long, that we're trying to make it go the way somebody wants it to go. I'm not saying it's happening. I'm just saying it makes you question that more, makes the population question it more.
And for those of you that don't know, Republicans will not have control of the Senate. It is done. And the one person that I feel the sorriest for in this election, besides Kerry Lake, is poor Herschel Walker. Because, first off, he's a terrible candidate. But secondly, so at one point, they thought Georgia was again going to decide the balance of power. And Georgia's in a runoff. So they were all like, Herschel's the greatest person in the world. And Lindsey Graham's moving to Georgia to campaign for him every day from now to December 6th, all this stuff. As soon as they lost that other Senate seat and there's no way they can have control, guess what happened to Herschel?
They kind of jumped ship.
Herschel doesn't exist anymore.
I haven't had the news on, but I assume that's...
No emails, no texts, no news, nothing. There's no Herschel. No Herschel.
Gone. Just disappeared. So if he doesn't get the millions of dollars of support, he doesn't have a chance.
Oh, he won't. I mean, it's done.
I think they should still fight for that seat. I don't think they will, but I
do
wish
not think
they
they
would.
will. I do not think they
Don't you think
it
would be good to just have it going into the next election?
Oh, it doesn't matter. Camel toe breaks the tie.
I mean, after that, let's look beyond that.
Oh, you mean 2024?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think they should fight for it, but Dale, I'm not joking. Herschel Walker is no longer a person on planet Earth anymore. There's nothing.
I was fearful that I was hopeful it
I
wouldn't
was
it wouldn't
getting
happen.
between 15 and 20 emails a day, probably a dozen texts about Herschel and his campaign. Since they called the Nevada race, I'm talking nothing. You've seen nothing on any news about the Georgia runoff anymore when it was like every day, multiple times. Nothing. It's done. But so they just had the GOP, or they're still actively in the GOP leadership election. Well, that means Pelosi's out of a job. That's the only good thing that's happened this election.
Pelosi is officially fired.
That's what y'all are saying.
Well, that's what came across my phone. McCarthy wins GOP nomination for House Speaker. That's all I got.
Okay,
And it just
he wins
came
the
in not too long.
nomination.
Yes. I assume as long as they have control, if they get that one more House seat, then he is Speaker of the House.
That's what I was. I don't know. I'm telling you, they said he was 30 votes away because there was a faction of the Republican Party that would not vote for him for House, for Speaker of the House.
That is past now. We're past that now, I believe, from what I can tell. Okay, moving forward, the Senate. You updated everybody. It's done, and everybody understand. Hopefully, everybody understands that. And as Ryan put it, everybody's jumping ship on Herschel, which I think is crazy because we still I think we ought to fight for every House seat we can get. Obviously, I'm with Ryan. I don't believe that's going to happen. So that just doesn't make sense to me if it's that close and there's a chance he could get it. And I think it's a longer shot than not that he can win it, even with dumping money in it. But if there's a chance he can get it, I would be willing to go for that seat just to have it come 2024 and beyond.
I don't think you're going to get your wish.
No, I don't think so at all. I would agree completely. Did you see? And I'm just looking at my phone 10 minutes before we started here. Did you see that Russian missiles crossed into NATO territory?
Yes.
Poland.
Yes, I did.
Do you have much more information on that?
Basically, it literally just happened minutes ago that this went down, and the information that came across the thing is what they're assuming is that it was a botched missile attack and it hit the wrong target.
You would assume. I thought it talked about several missiles or even more.
Oh no, there's a massive missile attack on Ukraine from Russia right now. But these two missiles that went into Poland, which is a NATO country, and killed two people, they're saying that was just like a botched landing. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
A missed target.
Botched or not, I have no idea what the response will be to that.
Okay, so that's the thing. Whether they didn't, that wasn't the intended target and it screwed up and whatever. Two Polish people are dead. What's Poland going to do about it? And what is NATO going to do about it?
I mean, they can say, "Oh, that was an accident." Do you give them a pass on that?
I don't. Okay, so if you give them a pass, what doesn't stop them from going? Oh, what's another country by Ukraine? Oh, we didn't mean to bomb you too. So sorry. I
agree. The problem is if you don't give them a pass, guess what you have?
Then they just launch missiles at everybody.
No, I mean if you say if they take this as an intentional attack on NATO, you're in World War III.
I realize that. That's what did I just say? They launch missiles on everybody. The thing that I don't understand, I mean, and I know that you are deathly afraid of Putin and he's a psychopath and whatever and all this other stuff.
Only afraid of him because he's a psychopath, not because of I think
he is clearly the worst military person in the world. He should have had this deal in Ukraine won like in 2 months.
Agreed 100%. I think the only thing he's got is that button and more nukes than anybody. That's
like he is the poorest military strategist in the history of the world because he is got more weapons, more money, more troops, more anything. This should have been in, out, and done in a matter of months, and yet now his aim is off and hitting Poland. I mean, I've never seen anything.
There's one more thing, and I don't have any evidence of this. It's just a theory that I have. If he had more, China obviously isn't backing him 100% like you would assume, because if they were,
publicly,
he would have all.
Not publicly.
Yeah, but I think even if he was getting his, I mean, they're getting backing. I'm not saying that China's in bed with Russia at the moment, but they're not throwing everything behind it, or he would have more ability to weapons, whatever it is, financial access to whatever he needs. So I think it's a very half-hearted attempt from China to support this effort. For what reason, I don't know.
It's just baffling to me. And then your president, my president, or all of ours president, God bless us all.
Now you have been very good about accepting that he's your president.
I said my president. I said your
I-
president, my president.
Well, I don't know that I've gone that far yet.
Oh, well, okay. Sorry. Anyway, so he met with China. Did you hear? He met with the Xi Jinping of it all. You know this, right?
Not if it was no. I do not know anything about. I'm not saying I didn't know they were meeting, but wasn't Biden meeting with him as well? Weren't they at some summit? Or?
No, Biden met with him.
Oh, I thought you said Putin.
No, Biden met with the Xi Jinping.
Got it. Yes, I knew that was happening, but I haven't heard how that went.
It evidently terrible.
For us, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah. How is that? Can you think of any other outcome but that?
Xi Jinping said that there's no imminent threat of a Taiwan invasion, imminent threat or whatever, but like
Define
Biden, yeah, well, I don't think it did, but like, I guess Biden did nothing. He didn't they're all on him because he didn't ask anything about COVID. I mean, I guess he just sat there and let Xi Jinping run all over him. He was the only one that talked, etc.
Exactly as you'd expect.
And so, he's getting all kinds of hell over it, which, I mean, it doesn't matter because, again, he's at under 40% approval rating. 75% thinks the country's going the wrong way. All this, you can't make up any worse, whatever. And they still, I mean, basically, the Republicans they're going to win the House by a seat or two, and that's it. They've lost ground in the Senate. So it doesn't matter how unpopular he is, I guess. And
no, I can't think of it. I can't think of a worse situation our country to be in, and we still have the ignorance in the voting population.
And just like I said last week, he survived midterm elections better than any president in the last 40 years. There's no way you can tell him he can't run again. I mean, I don't know.
I think
how.
That's the best thing I've heard.
Right. Again, I agree. Knowing our luck, he'll get some dread disease and decide not to run for health concerns. And tonight we have Trump. It's his moment. We'll see what he says. But that's tonight.
And what do you predict that will be? You know what it'll be.
It's got to be that he's running for president again. I mean, I will literally fall out of whatever chair I am if it's not that.
You'll be ringside at the Doe Show at Louisville.
Well, I will fall over into a dead faint then because y'all will have to pick me up. But I don't know what else it could be.
I agree. Do you have any other political or international news? I have one thing left for current events.
Oh, well, no, I'm not done. Yeah, I'm talking.
Okay,
This Trump deal is a big deal. So he's going to come out here tonight. He's going to say he's running for president. I think he's doing this to try to scare off massive amounts of people piling in the primary. I don't think it will be massive amounts of people piling in the primary. I think it will be one person. And again, y'all know how much I love Indiana. I love Indiana. I do. Pence just needs to shut the you-know-what up. So he's now gone on this interview and they're asking him if he's running and whatever and all this other stuff. And he says that, I haven't made any decisions. And he's going to be on Brett Baer tonight too. He's doing all these things. They asked him if Donald Trump should ever be president again. He said that's for the American public to decide, but he thinks that we'll have better options for the next deal. Okay. Nothing, Indiana, love you people. Pence he just is, and it has nothing to do with January 6th.
Hold back, all right?
It doesn't have anything to do with January 6th or him not certifying. No, I'm not. The man is just a dish rag. What has he ever done?
Too hard on him. He's a very nice guy.
Okay, he's nice. So is Joe Biden.
I think he's well spoken.
Joe Biden won president because he was a nicer person than Trump. Look where we are today.
You cannot compare Pence to Biden.
Yes, I
That's
can.
unacceptable. No, you
Yes, I
cannot.
can.
No,
Yes, I can.
you're wrong. You're just wrong. I am not arguing that he would get destroyed by Trump physically, verbally, in every manner you could imagine.
He
However,
just needs to
he
go
cannot.
back to Indiana and go to sleep or whatever, because he ain't got the balls to be in this. Okay, it's just not. Just go away, have a nice retired life, love your wife and your children and whatever, but like
I
stay out of this.
I would rather he was running against DeSantis and Trump wasn't even in the primary because of what I worry about in the final general outcome.
I'm going to stick by my prediction that DeSantis and Trump are going to run against each other. It is going to be a bloodbath, and whoever wins will be a better candidate, but going to be very, very bruised. Very bruised.
I agree with all of that, and if I had somebody ask me today, I think the gap will narrow, but I would say Trump will get the nomination if that was the two candidates. My fear, I don't know just because he wins that makes him the best candidate. He's the best candidate for the Republicans.
I think I said this on the last podcast. Or I've said it to you. I think Trump would be the better president. I think DeSantis is more electable in the general.
And for once, we agree completely.
But
Absolutely. So we're bound to be wrong.
I don't. I just. I don't think DeSantis can beat him. I just don't. But we'll see. But
I
what
think it'll
I
be
would
closer than
love,
what it was.
what I would love is for just DeSantis to make a bold move, unlike 99.9% of the politicians in America, and use some emotional intelligence and do not run. He's 40 years old. He finishes out his governorship for this term. He got elected to be governor of Florida for 4 years. When he gets done, he starts running for president. Even if Trump won, he can only serve one more term.
So he'd have basically a year and a half to run for president.
Just
Full time.
use some emotional intelligence, sir, and don't.
I just don't think he's going to do it.
I don't think he can either.
I love your theory. I love the path we're talking about.
I don't think he can either. I don't. I just emotional intelligence is hard to come by in a normal person. It is almost impossible in a politician.
Completely agree. And I think they live in a bubble. I don't know that their handlers are not telling them what they want to hear more times than not.
And again, there's no way, which of course now he's got a free pass because now the Senate doesn't matter anymore because whatever. But like when everybody thought the Senate was going to come down to the Herschel, Georgia election, a lot of people, I don't know about his handlers, but a lot of people on pundits were like, Trump doesn't need to announce till after the Senate election, all this other stuff. Well, now that doesn't matter. So, and of course, Trump said, nothing's changed. I'm doing what I'm doing next Tuesday, regardless. So either Trump's people are just like, screw it, you're going to do what you want to do anyway, so we're here for you, or he's not listening. But I mean, I think it's fine now since the Senate doesn't matter. But I agreed with the pundits. If Herschel would have been if the Georgia thing would have been the deciding thing, it would have been smarter for everybody to join together, tried to win that, and then move on. But it's fine now. It will be fascinating to me to hear what he has to say tonight. I will say that. And y'all all know I love Trump. I think he is the best president in my lifetime. I will be fascinated to see what he has to say tonight. I think this is just like, if y'all thought 2016 was bad, I think this is just gonna be a wolf. Oh,
okay. Well, let's move on. We've missed the largest current event.
I'm hanging up now. It was nice talking to you. Have fun with the rest of the topic, Dale. I can't do this anymore.
This next part is that we have to talk at least 10 seconds about. So we did not mention yet. We are at the North American. Ryan and I
It's very traumatic for me so far.
Ryan was an official in the judging contest, senior college. I've been down here with my son Chase early before the goats came down, preparing for the Skillathon National 4-H contest.
Can I ask one question, sir?
You may, as long as it's not like a Skillathon type question. I'm chasing.
Now that the Skillathon is over, what are you going to do with the rest of your life?
We have a dough show this afternoon. If I can get this done, I spent a lot of time working with Chase and the
I
team
would
the
like to
last
know what
2 or
you're
3
going to
months.
fill your void with in your life now that the skeleton is over.
Well, and you know what Chase said this morning? He says now that we have some more free time, he wants to get the UFO animal science based or animal oddities first episode out there. And Ryan, we're just going to have to do it. And then once we get through that first one, he can do whatever he wants. But with that, and I told Ryan this earlier, Chase is it made his entire week. He went down to the lobby to get something on his own yesterday or last night, and he gets in the elevator to come back up to the room, and another family or a group of people got on the elevator after him, and he asked, "Well, what floor would you like?" And they told him. He says, "Well, what's your name, young man?" And he says, "Chase Hummel." He said, "I knew I recognized your voice." And that kid came up just smiling from ear to ear. So whatever family asked him that, you made his day. It was good. Very good. So yeah. What am I going to do with my time? I'll have a little more free time now that we're not helping coach the skillathon, and Chase is not on that. Back to something that Chase does plan to take you for a little walk today or tomorrow or sometime.
The
But
ducks are not here.
there is no duck slide at the 2022.
I'm not walking all the way back over there from the goat show again. The ducks aren't here.
Avian flu, I believe they'll be back in 2023, and that's my biggest news.
He
And
wants to get me a damn golf cart all right over there, but I'm not. No.
They have some little rubber ducks in there, and he did push one down the slide, but that was about the extent. I've had several texts from people saying that they came down here, they wanted to see the duck slide, and the duck slide they have it set up with rubber ducks in the little tank, but no live ducks. So it's disappointing. I don't think they had a choice because of avian flu, so we kind of give them a pass, and hopefully they'll be back in 2023.
What does Chase need me to see now? The ducks aren't here.
He wants to take you back, and there's a couple pigs in there that we used as muscle score ones that are about anteater wide. He kind of wanted to show you those.
This is the exact example of no good deed goes unpunished. It's a very long walk from the goat show to that place. I'm just saying.
It is. It is very long. With all of that, do you have any BTR JLA news?
Oh Jesus, no, I don't.
Okay, I'll be.
I will look that up and get that at the end because I'm not joking. This is like I don't know what it is about this show. Like I get in some time warp and it just I'm not like this at any other show. This show, like the world stops moving and it's just whatever. I completely like hell. I didn't even know we were recording today. I was like, okay, whatever. But I will.
It's not the most convenient day to record, but I think the only possible day to record.
Whatever.
It's okay. We're fine. It's all good at the North American. I will go ahead and talk about ShowFresh H2O. So I'm at the North American.
They have a life-size cutout of Dale in their booth. They've reserved Nina Throne.
No, they have nothing like that. But what I appreciate walking through the cattle barn, the sheep barn, the goat barn, I'm seeing more and more ShowFresh H2O. And it's simple. You either bring massive buckets of water or you use some ShowFresh H2O. And if you're not doing one of the two, I promise that those animals that you're going into the ring with are probably not as hydrated. Now, if you're allowed to drench, say in the sheep and goat barn, you can certainly drench enough water or electrolytes in and that's good. That works. But if they're not wanting to take that drench gun, or if you're in the cattle barn and you can't pump or maybe drench enough into them, or it's not allowed, ShowFresh H2O is a logical option if you don't want to haul all of that water down here. So with that, go to your local supply trailer. It is available at most of those, and swampfox.com for ShowFresh H2O. American made, sponsor every episode that we've had for a very long time in this podcast, giving back to the junior livestock world, and that is appreciated. I also appreciate our second episode sponsor, Badger Brawl. We talked about it last week. Badger Brawl, December 2nd through the 4th, Alliant Energy Center, Madison, Wisconsin. This is the second year for it. I believe they had 750 head of cattle last year. Opportunities for kids to get in the ring on 3 days, it appears. We've got Wisconsin exhibitors. I am going to be in one of those rings. So Wisconsin exhibitors on Friday, Showmanship Friday, 2 heifer rings on Saturday.
Oh, please tell me you're not judging showmanship. Those poor children.
No, just the heifer ring. 2 steer rings on Sunday. judges from across the country. Looks like a really good lineup: Texas, South Dakota, Indiana, Iowa, Ohio, Oklahoma. They're not holding back on where they're bringing them or their expenses to get there. So I think it looks like they're trying to make this an incredible event. When you've got the Alliance Energy Center there, it's can be used year round, heated facility. A lot of things go in the right direction. So we do appreciate them sponsoring this. The website is badgerbrawl.com. Find them on Facebook under Badger Brawl. Walton Webcasting will be broadcasting on Saturday and Sunday. If you can't make it, you can get on Walton and view the shows. Multiple level sponsorships available and appreciated. You can get the info on sponsorships on their website. And once again, that's badgerbrawl.com. Contact them with any questions. Hopefully we'll get a chance to see some of you there. Thank you for the sponsorship.
What weekend is that again?
That is December 2nd is Friday, so the 3rd and 4th of December is the weekend, Saturday, Sunday.
Oh,
You're somewhere.
I hope I
Who
get
knows
to
where
watch
you
you
are?
on Walton, but I bet I'm judging a show.
I'll tuck my shirt in for you if that helps.
You did not the last time I watched you on Walton. It was tragic.
Dang,
Okay, see
dang.
how efficient I am. I have pulled up the top 10 intermediate hog. That's the
Right.
top 10 I'm going to give today. Hunter Stevens, Levine, Arizona, is in first with 510 points. He has a perfect score. Way to go, Hunter. Bella Herrera.
That's really good.
Bella Herrera of Woodland, California, is next with 495. Shaylee Davis, third. Whitman, Arizona, 465. Ainsley Erickson, Bakersfield, California, 345. Mason Faulkner, Richards, Missouri, 320. Ryder Lloyd, Herbert, Utah, 311. Carson Ostrander, Pineville, Oregon, 310. Taylor Ellsworth, Jefferson, Ohio, 300. Huston Hesseltine, Sinton, Texas, 286. And Caitlin Thompson, Wilcox, Arizona, 285. That's this week's.
Congratulations, junior or intermediate hogs?
That was intermediate hog. And everybody remember, sign up at www.btrjla.com for 2023. We're still getting sanctioned shows in for 2022, people. I'm not lying. Like, I've got 2 today. And so people are still sanctioning for this year. We are getting sanctioned shows for 2023. So do that as well. If you've got a show coming up in January, February, March, go on there, submit the form. We'll get it put on our calendar and put up there pretty quick. And so that's what I have for the BTRJLA of it all.
That sounds great. Hopefully we continue to get that sponsorship going into 2023. Today's episode,
December.
And I don't know how long this has been on the list, but it's been there for a little while and it's convenient.
Not as long as some that are still on there that you won't do.
I've got a couple that I'm planning on doing that have been on there a very long time. But we were scrambling a little bit, to be honest. At the Louisville things, it seems like everything else stops and we get focused on many things, and we kind of forgot about a topic until maybe a couple hours ago, Ryan. I don't remember when.
I did not even think we were recording. I'm telling you, I completely lost my mind. Yeah. The judging contest about did me in. That's all I'm going to say. I need like a week to recover.
Got it. Well, we're going to do class breaks and the thoughts and procedures behind that. Maybe share some of the information that as judges and exhibitors, what we think of it, even managing shows from Ryan's perspective. But Ryan, if you would like, lead us into class breaks at shows.
Well, and again, I this is kind of a general rule of thumb for all shows, but I think more than ever, like to me at least, the role of a jackpot show is for people to take their animals out, get them broke, get their kid experience showing, all of that. That's what I think the role of jackpot shows have been since they were created. So like everybody, animal and exhibitor, are better when it is the big show time, whether the big show to you is your county fair or the North American International Livestock Exposition. And so I think I don't want people to think that I am comparing the livestock industry to being woke, because I'm not. But I think we've got a little of this mindset that has crept in a little bit at these jackpot shows, because a lot of times, regardless of species, whatever, I think we're making the class sizes smaller and less competitive, so maybe more people have a chance to win. Do you understand what I'm saying there, Dale?
That sounds like woke getting into our industry a little bit.
Okay, and while I guess, no, I'll be honest, I can't understand why, but I'm just going to give you an example. Like, the more animals that are in a class, regardless of how you place, your child and that animal are going to get more experience in the ring the larger the class is. Would you not agree with that, Dale?
Absolutely. And in all seriousness, we have a lot of push from 4-H and maybe even a little bit from FFA that everybody's a winner. We all need ribbons. And you know where Ryan and I are on that. I don't think that's playing a role in this, in my opinion, especially at jackpot shows. But I agree completely with Ryan. There's a lot of single entry classes and that individual's and I'll just be as honest as I can. They're not getting a true evaluation of that animal. It's usually a kind gesture and maybe talk about them a little bit and they could withstand some competition. Ryan and I talked about it earlier and he has a perfect phrase for it and he can give that to you. But I agree completely that there's nothing good about dragging single entries in class after class and then they come out obviously for the division and they get a little time in the ring, but it's not the same. So I assume the jackpot shows look at it with I think it's well intended that they get more kids into class winning positions and things like that so they all can have a class winner. I don't know, I don't completely understand it. Maybe it's because of age breaks that they just don't fit together. Maybe the weight is way off on one of them or whatever it may be. And I understand the philosophy behind it. However, if at all possible to get a few more into that class, even if we have a bigger age spread, the judge can sort through that. They can ask, okay, what's the age of this one, or the ring person coming in and say, hey, we've got a 4 month spread in these calves, or something like that. And I think you have to give the judge enough credit they can work through that. And on the weight side, I'm probably different. I think Ryan is very similar to me. It really doesn't matter when I have a class of market animals. I'm not affected as much by always leaning towards the heaviest one. If anything, sometimes in those heavier classes, I may favor the lighter ones that are a little fresher. But the weight isn't in my head saying, well, I need to use this heavier one because it's a little more massive. It's more about quality with where they're at and how they balance at that particular weight. So I am exactly on track with where you're at, Ryan. It's something that maybe before you brought it up, I hadn't thought about a lot outside of the fact when I'm judging a show and you continue to get these single entries and you sound like a darn robot.
Yeah, and I was just talking to a family last night, and they were talking about that I judged a show in Eastland, Texas a few weeks back. Well, anyway, they went from a show that I judged on Sunday. Saturday, they were at a different show and they drove 6 hours across Texas to Eastland to come to the show on Sunday. Well, the other the main, and I do believe the main advantage to bigger classes is just what I'm saying at a jackpot show. That animal and that exhibitor get more time in the ring, and that's really the reason why you're there, I think. Now, I mean, of course, there are series where you get points for attending shows. Of course, there's our association. So there's some of that. But like, I would say the concept of jackpot shows in general was for animals and kids to get practice at showing. So this family left one show, drove 6 hours to the next show. The other advantage of larger classes is, and people won't believe this, the show takes less time, fewer classes, but larger classes. I know y'all won't believe me, but that is the truth.
No,
and
there's no question.
And primarily, it's for two reasons, really. When there are more out there, I think all the judges have a little pressure, or not pressure, but when there's more out there in a ring, they're like, you know what, I need to keep up and get this class done. And secondly, while you're talking the same number of animals, regardless if it's in a single entry or all of them are single entry classes all day or they're all in big classes, going to the mic, putting down the mic, all this other stuff. If there's 9 animals in a class talking, goes majorly faster than talking 9 single entries.
Absolutely. And Ryan, sometimes when I'm at a jackpot show and maybe I know the show management and feel pretty comfortable with them, if I know I've got a bunch of single entries in a specific breed and they're all single entries in that division, I will sometimes request, let's just bring them all in the order of the classes instead of one at a time and take them back and one at a time, then come out for that division. Just bring them all in and we'll talk about them as we're picking our division champion. And it just works better
And
not
I
having
see,
those
I
single
agree with
entries.
that. Like, if there are multiple single entries in a breed, I like for them to come in the grand drive. But then at times, you're gonna have a parent say, well, I paid my $50 entry fee. I want my kid to go out there in that class and have that experience, that moment, whatever. And I get that too. And
Yep, I
so
understand that.
I mean, I understand that as well. And another advantage besides the show takes less time, I actually think that you get more real, genuine feedback on your animal when you're in a competitive class compared to when you're a single entry. Now, you may not care what that man or woman thinks about your animal or says about your animal, but I think most do. And
And I think you're right, and I'm guilty of it, I'll admit it, and I think most judges are. We don't describe the single entry classes like we would a competitive class, and that's wrong. We should, but we don't.
I mean, you hear it said 1,000 times. With a single entry, this one could stand some competition, and they throw like something nice about the animal. Give them a round of applause. We'll see them in the breed champion drive.
You don't have
And
any comparative terms usually, none.
right, well, because there's nothing to compare it to. I
Exactly.
mean, and so like again, I'm not bashing on single entries, but I'm just saying there are so many different reasons. Well, even though only one person can win that class, you're going to get a lot more benefits, even if you're down the line in the placing for being in a bigger class. You're going to get competitive feedback about your animal, comparative, more in depth. Kids going to get way more experience out there. And I mean, I'm going to use me an example. I've been called everything in the world other than slow and indecisive. Okay, that's just all good, bad, whatever, but never slow and indecisive. And I judge every single show the same. I don't care if it's a jackpot show. I don't care if it's a county fair. When I judge Cattlemen's Congress here in a few months, whatever, I don't change my pace, my speed, anything like that. And my mother and Dale sometimes were like, well, this is the Kentucky State Fair. Slow down, go whatever. I don't know how to do that. And the reason why is because I'm a firm believer that if you don't know what you like before you get in the ring, you're never going to figure it out while you're in there. And I just know, and it's just an opinion. And so I'm not the person to kick shavings, all this other stuff. So if you're in a single entry class under me, your kid's calf is not going to get stopped before I'm describing it. I mean, I'm going to go up and talk to your kid and say, hey, what's this one's weight, whatever, all this other stuff. And then I'm going to describe the calf and whatever and be going. If you're in a class of 5 or 6, they're going to come in, they're going to line up what butt view, whatever, unless it's a hog show. And I'm going to go down. I'm going to talk to every kid again, just like doing it, whatever. We're going to walk around. We're going to pull, and I'll probably pull on the walk still, some of them, but you're going to get way more time in the ring. And I know not everybody is fast like me in that, or to the extent that I am. But I also believe that most people do not change how they sort shows or the pace of they short shows, but depending on what it is. That is their speed, that is how they do it, etc. Would you agree with that, Dale?
I would agree. Some of the fitters get a
That
little
sounded
concerned
real
when
confident.
some of the fitters get a little concerned when you're coming in to judge some of the, especially some of the bigger jackpot shows, that they quite frankly can't keep up. But I completely understand where you're at, and I have gotten to know you too well in terms of how your mind works and how you work in general.
It will be a disaster if I try to do something different. I'm just
it would not it would go off the rails. And I don't think listeners are going to understand it, but it would not end well. I've been out in the ring with him. I get it. It just I think if you were forced to spend 10 minutes sorting a class of 6, it would be a train wreck. Even I'm talking a very short 10 minutes, Ryan. Make you stay out there for a half hour, I think you'd have a meltdown.
I probably would. I'm not gonna lie, but
I encourage show management to maybe do that sometime, but give me heads up so I can be there. I'd like to witness it. It would be very entertaining.
yeah, Dale would get the most giggles out of it. And then another thing, and I think we covered this, but even on talking about ages, whether if it's a breeding show and stuff like that, I don't think there's anything wrong with having larger breaks in the age classes. I mean, as long as you have a competent person out there and you say, these are our class breaks. It doesn't have to be every single month. It can be multiple months. It can be, I'm perfectly fine with at least a 4-month age break. But I mean, some people 3, but I just think again, there's so many advantages to this. And I just don't think this is something, until I brought it up with Dale, I've never heard this talked about before.
And I think I can add some clarity. It may not be popular, but I can to this. When we're talking about breeding animals and trying to group them a month at a time or keep that age spread as small as they can, and that may require classes of 1, maybe classes of 2. Quite frankly, the issues we have with everyone, not everyone, many people moving ages, and they feel they need to because the other person is, and we've gone through this age discrimination on an episode. But if you want to believe that those ages are correct on those papers that they're breaking them into, or that the age they give them, and even if they don't look at the papers, you're fooling yourself. And there's one way around it. It should not matter anyway. It really should not. And if more judges would sort on quality rather than weigh them, we would no longer have all these people moving the ages, or start to implement things like the National Swine Registry with my buddy Mr. Clays, where they're going to take the Januaries on paper, weigh them, and break them into 3 or 4 classes and at their bigger shows, or at least at the expo, I believe. That's going to help. I think. I don't know that there's a perfect solution, but the simple solution to me is judges, when you're out there, and I can't tell you what to do. You're hired to do what what you want to do. But my solution, or the only real easy solution I come up with, is sort those cattle on quality. Don't pretend like necessarily the age is going to be correct on the paperwork, and don't pretend that you can maybe evaluate how old one is, because it just, even though we can get general differences, there's those exceptions out there, that some of those really old ones that still appear youthful, and vice versa. And Ryan, you talked about this the other night. Sometimes a 30-year-old looks 16 and a 16-year-old person looks 30, or whatever. That those things happen. And we can't outguess those type of things. We just, I mean, furthermore, I mean, we can get close, but we're always going to get bit in the butt on a couple of them if we try to. So let's bring 4-month spread out there and just use the best one. Just use the best one. If we were that concerned about weighing them, this could be a performance contest, or right, like Ryan says, if I use some carcass terms out there in the ring in the market show, which I will and I will continue to, he says, well, let's just have a damn carcass contest. But I actually feel this way a little bit on the age and having to use the heavier ones within class. I'm not buying into it. Do I think that we need slow growing animals? Not in the real world, but we're fooling ourselves if we don't think we're inserting a little bit of that into the show ring, because that added maturity gives us more mass, more bone, more everything. So we have to be realistic about it. And I think if the judges can go in there and sort more off of quality and those things rather than weighing them, I think it would be less of an issue.
The only other thing, because this goes into breaking the classes, but it's kind of like a weight, but it would be for the market's weight. I don't want to tell any show how to run their show, but I also am going to say that I don't care what method you use, but there needs to be, for the legitimacy, the transparency, the whatever of the show, I think you need to have a system, whether you have them weigh in on an official scale that is there at the show, or you let them turn in their weights and you weigh back the top 2, the top 5, or whatever at that show in each class. Because, and I know some of these jackpot shows, they think that's too much of a hassle and whatever, all this other stuff. I don't care where you go. And no, this is not the majority. It is a very small minority. And just to go back to what Dale was just saying, if there is no official way in, there is no way back, and not just saying there's going to be a way back, but an actual way back, someone is going to fib a little bit. Would you agree, Dale?
I would say maybe a lot of it.
Okay.
Just human nature.
And then, as we just talked about, we said obviously we have a problem sometimes, and that weight gets involved too much. Weight, performance, whatever you want to call it, gets involved in the selection process probably more than it. Then your whole show, the integrity of the whole show suffers. Do you understand what I'm saying, Dale?
Absolutely.
And again, I don't care which way you do it. It does not matter to me, but I just think that need to have some type of way back, way in system on one scale, an official scale, all this other stuff, because otherwise there's going to be some gray to black areas going on with the thing, and
Very
you don't
gray,
want that.
very black.
And these people that are putting on the shows, you want to have the best show that you possibly can, because you want it to continue to grow, because most of these shows are making money for some type of charitable organization. I know very few people that put on jackpot shows for personal gain, like to make money for themselves personally. And so, and you want your show to grow and get more entries and people to talk good about it. And so the more integrity that you can put into that show with having a type of way back, way in system and sticking to it, I think the better off you're going to be. And the only other thing, and again, Dale didn't think, and I was a little concerned that we may not be able to talk about this enough, and we're going
But
to.
I think that every episode. That's just I'm pretty
But
bad about that.
the one thing, and I say this at every show, and I mean this, and I do not think any show should ever do this. There is a lot of times when I go to a show, and I always ask, like, how many do we need to place in showmanship? How many are y'all paying back? And I ask questions because every show is different. And then a lot of I will say, did you have a way in? Well, we have a way back, but it's at the judge's discretion. No, 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 no bullshit.
That is out
No.
on you. That is you're out. Didn't you have a show where they asked you that and you just told them no?
Multiple ones. I said, I'm not doing it. That is not a judge's position. The judge, and this is just like, I mean, classification and stuff like that. It is not a judge's role to decide if one is out of bounds on weight, or decide if that one in the ring should have not been in that thing. You are to judge what is brought into you in the ring in that particular class. And so when they say, I mean, I literally say, oh, hell no. That's above my pay grade. I'm not doing it. But I think that's a terrible position to put a judge in. Do you not agree?
I think it's awful. And I think most judges, especially younger judges, when they're asked to do that by the show management, they're just going to go along with it. I doubt they ever speak up on anything.
But they're never
it
going to
really
do
serves-
it. They're never
No.
going to say, hey, I think this one's probably lying. We need to weigh this one. They just say whatever. But like, if I don't tell them, it's a terrible position to put a judge. I don't think they know. I think they think it's fine. It's not fine. A judge's role is to
No.
judge what comes in that class regardless. That is what
And the same thing when they want you to sort on breed character. Same exact situation.
And again,
To me, it's not the judge's role.
I mean, you're supposed to judge what comes into that class. I'm going to give you a perfect example. About sometime a couple months ago, I don't want to narrow down the show exactly, but jackpot show, nice big steer show, breeds, whatever. There was one comes in, that I don't anymore believe was that breed than a man in the moon. I mean, way out there. It's still the best steer in that class. I use it to win the class. I say, ideally, maybe we could have a little more breed character in this animal, but it's still the best steer. Wasn't the best steer in the breed, but it was the best steer in the class. So therefore, I had to use it, even though I don't even think it saw one of that breed across the road driving to the show. But I mean, that's just how
Love
it is. But I think that is one thing that you should not do. And again, that maybe I'm off on my soapbox on that, but I hate it when people at a show say that, like, well, the way back at the judge's discretion. Not this judge. Not me.
Got it. Well, are we good to go into your favorite portion yet?
Oh, I'm sure we are. What is that? Oh, Jesus. Question and answer. Dear Lord. It's Louisville. Can't we just skip it this week?
I thought about it because I didn't have any until we started talking, and then I kind of pulled a couple up here while recording. But there was one that I didn't have to go looking for, Ryan.
Oh, good.
And before I get into that one, I'm actually I want to send a thank you out to a lot of our listeners, and this both from Ryan and I, to everyone that's came up to me the past couple of days here at the North American and just express their appreciation of us doing the podcast. That means a great deal to me, and I think it means a great deal to Ryan. In the fact that we set aside an hour and a half each week to do this, it makes it worth setting that side of time. And it sounds silly that an hour and a half, but when you're coordinating 3 schedules to get that same time each and every week, to put it mildly, it's a challenge sometimes just getting that time. It's not difficult for Ryan and I to sit down and record it. It's more about finding a time to do it and what time zone Ryan's in and who's got an internet connection and who doesn't. But
Clifton has way bigger money clients than us, I promise you.
Yes, way bigger. So we really have to work around Clifton's schedule almost completely. But it is appreciated and it makes it worthwhile. So thank you to those. And Ryan, this leads us into a lot of those people that came up to me and talked to me about that. Several of them have asked many questions, and there's one question that's been asked more than anything else. So I didn't even have to go to the Facebook page or email or most places I tend to forget to look. The first one comes from several exhibitors here at the North American. Where is the gay in the pink fur? Where is the gay?
I have worn the pink coat the last 2 nights.
2 nights. What about at the show?
Okay, hold on. What
I can't
is
find
today?
you without a pink fur. You blend in.
What's today? Wednesday? Okay. So I got here
Tuesday.
Tuesday. I got here Saturday. Yes. Today's Wednesday. Got here Saturday.
No, Tuesday.
No, I got here Saturday.
I
got here Saturday because I left the Wednesday, Tuesday. Tomorrow's Wednesday. Tomorrow's the goat show.
You have lost it. You've completely lost
I'm telling you, I'm something about Louisville. I always do this. Anyway, I got here Saturday night.
I cheated. I looked at my phone. I cheated.
I got here Saturday night. Sunday, I went to the show, and I had the pink coat on. I also had a green coat on. I took 2 because it was very cold, but I had them both on.
Real dull green, kind of dark green.
No, the bright lime green one that you hate that I wore at the National FFA.
You wore that like 3 times now. People are going to think
I know because you hate it, but I wore it then. I wore it the last 2. I did not wear, and that was Sunday. Monday was the judging contest. I did not wear the pink fur to the judging contest. Okay, I did. Sorry, I had a little more.
You didn't think Scott would blend into with you?
I do not think Scotty G. Griner would have been very excited with me in a pink fur, but I had a little more dignity than to dress like a pimp in a pink fur at the judging contest. I wore it last night.
I think that was a very, very good idea. I
wore it last night. Multiple people tried it on at the bar last night. So I'm probably not going to wear it tonight because I don't think it's going to be cold enough tonight for it. But I have worn the damn thing. I promise you. And also, people, it's very heavy coat. So like when you go into a place, like it's fine when you're out in the cold, but then when you go into a place and you take the coat off because it's warm, whatever, then you have to hold the bitch and it weighs like 30 pounds.
It doesn't work at all.
I'm telling you, it is a lot to wear that coat. Even we're talking like butch men last night put this coat on and they were like, Jesus Christ, this thing is heavy. I mean, like, it's literally doing it for the look of it all.
Nothing practical about it. Nothing.
Fashion is pain. Nothing. Absolute zero. Fashion is pain, people. But I have worn it.
So Ryan, I've been listening to your fashion stuff. I brought 2 different colored vests this week. 2.
That is very nice of
That's
you, Dale.
that's a big move.
Black and gray?
Black and kind of tan.
Tan. Okay. Well, tan's better than gray. I figured it'd be black and gray or black and navy. I'm all for the tan.
And I have plenty of those. I'm there. The next question, I actually pulled up right before I got on my rant earlier about sizes within classes, and it kind of inspired me a little bit. Ryan will say this time, and I think I think we know where the answer is going to be. But does it matter to you? And this just happened to fit perfect for this episode. Does it matter to you in market classes if you have the if the animal's the lightest weight or the heaviest in the class?
The lightest or the heaviest in the class?
Does that like if you're people once they see a weight break, they're the lightest by who knows a couple pounds?
Oh,
or
Jesus Christ! No,
I
don't even.
but people stress out. Oh, I'm the lightest in class. Don't you hear that?
Oh my God! I hated major shows, Texas major shows, because I never worked at. Like, I am a firm believer that you have to put that animal, especially because, like, at Texas major shows, there are weigh bags. You have to put that animal in at the weight where you can get that one looking the best, according to Phil, all this other stuff. And he just falls in whatever class he falls in. But now, the parents.
But I'm going to tell you, 80% of the population
they do not agree with me at all.
No,
I am very well aware. And that is why, even though I loved all my families that showed for me and they let me be in charge of the very large majority of it, they would try to fight me on this issue. They would not win. And so then the class breaks would come up, and if they were, one of the lighter ones in the heavies instead of one of the heaviest ones in the, I mean, you would think that Russia was sending nuclear missiles to us at Reliant Center or something. And
great one.
And I'm just like,
and that is not an exaggeration. It is not.
It is what it is. I mean, like, you got to beat them all in the end anyway, people. We were clearly going to win, okay? You got to beat them all in the end anyway. So I've never got that. I'm going to tell a story and my mother's going to die. She's absolutely going to die. So thank God she doesn't listen to the podcast. When I won the Houston Steer Show back before the earth cooled, I had a limousine steer. Class breaks come up, and back then people thought that you had to be a middleweight or you had to be a middleweight. Well, they didn't put the class breaks up, but they used to go and write what the weight spread was in each class. Here's Lemmy's. Lights are 1,000 to 1155. Mediums are 1157 to 1299. You get the drift, right? So they put those up, and I'm like, my steer is going to be that heaviest in the middleweight class, and Cherie is jubilant and ecstatic and about to cry. Oh my God, we broke so wonderful. Whatever. All this stuff. Like, she's ready to go pop champagne and yada, yada, yada. When the actual class breaks come up, that was a misprint, whatever. I'm like the lightest one in the heavyweight class. You would have thought her legs had been cut off. I mean, she's crying. The show's over. We're dead. We're toast. All this. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Act like a grown woman. I mean, I'm not joking. You would have thought that her puppy got killed by Emmett Oz or something. I don't know. It was bizarre.
I'm going to make sure she listens to this one.
I'm just saying, like, and I mean, this is a rational woman that we had won almost every major show in the country.
No. You have convinced me over time she is not rational.
Y'all all think she is, whether I take
No, I
she thinks she's rational. We had won almost every major show in the country, the world by then, whatever. And I'm telling you,
I think you've won those because she's not rational. You won those because she is not rational. She did not hold back on
she had been like shot in the pinky toe. I was just like, what the hell ever. But yeah, so no, it does not matter to me at all whether I'm judging and obviously when I'm helping somebody show. I just think you put the animal in at the right weight, get them filled up the way you can, and you rock on, because that is what it is. And I agree with Dale that 80% of the livestock show public do not agree with that assessment. And I am going to say that I'm fine with that, because if I ever go back to showing these things again, I think that's an advantage that the 20% that know that have, that the 80% don't.
So it just works.
Yeah.
And Ryan, I could not agree. We agree on this one as well as anything that we've talked about, and you and I have talked about it personally as well. And I've just got a text on what our weathers are weighing right now and what to turn them in at, and it's usually a no brainer. And every single time that we go across a weighback scale, we're going to weigh about exactly what we turned in. So we could have pulled 4 or 5 off of there, but it just doesn't make sense. And I look at everybody stressing, maybe not hydrating enough, maybe not feeding enough that night before or that morning because they're so tight on weight. And sometimes it works out great for them, but I think it probably would have worked out if you were a couple pounds heavier, and it might have even worked out easier, if that makes any sense. So with that, coming into our third question, Ryan.
Why are they all for
Dale,
me?
they said Brian.
I know people ask you questions. Why are they all for me? Because you pick
the
them.
question. Yeah, it works out well. Okay, Ryan, as a show family, when we run into a show official that is not kid friendly and quite frankly rude to most of the exhibitors, who do we talk to? I have a suggestion. Call Ryan.
No, do not call me, because I have no control over it. What I would do in that situation is I would go find out who there is normally somebody over everybody. There's a hierarchy at these shows, and I would go to who's over that person and explain in detail, in a very nice, cordial, calm manner, this official XYZ did this to me or my kid, explain exactly what happened and why you were upset about it, and say, I would like to know what you're going to do about it. Can we go talk to this person together? Something. And I think that's really the only recourse that you have. I don't think going and bitching on social media is the answer. I don't think that helps.
No,
now,
that doesn't.
Now, if you do that and nothing happens, or you don't get an apology, or they don't do anything, and the incident happens to multiple people, then maybe. But I think most times it is probably just stress, and shows are stressful, and people are tired, and whatever. People snap, don't mean to. You probably get, I would say the majority of the time, going over to the next person up in line in charge will get the issue resolved. Now, there are people, I'm just going to say this, and again, I'm going to get a hate mail, and I don't care. There are people at all levels of shows, because most things are volunteer, that there are not nice people involved in shows at almost all levels. And again, it just is what it is. And I hate, it's a very small, minute percentage, but it's there, and we've all ran into it at a time or two, I think.
Absolutely. And I think that's a very good recommendation. I'll reemphasize, and I don't even have a problem going to that person in a very calm, professional manner, and just explain that some of the younger exhibitors took it a little hard with the way you approached situation A, B, or C, and or even if you go to the one above that person, just do it in a calm, professional manner. And I would think you'd get some results. I would hope so anyway. So very, very good answer, Ryan. I need to get back out to the show, and you need to get back out to the show. I believe the Doe Show's getting close, and I've certainly enjoyed my time here at the North American. Look forward to the next couple days. With that said, until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?